Hey everybody, it's Party Elite here with some more Thrones of Britannia gameplay footage for you, thanks to the wonderful folks at Creative Assembly who gave me access to this early build. I was able to record a few videos for you, so make sure you check out the other two as well. One showcases Viking gameplay as Northumbria, and the other showcases an amphibious siege battle, both linked in the description down below. This video showcases some gameplay as the Gaelic faction of Circenn, and it also showcases my ability to completely butcher a language. Please forgive my poor pronunciation, and feel free to leave hot tips in the comments down below. I also want to remind you that this is still an early build of the game, and so some things are still being polished and finalized. With that said, let's get right to it with a little introduction. Over the first 50 or so turns of this campaign, I found myself having to give up some of my starting alliances, as my rather poor economy was being torn apart by the potential of war to the north and the south. An early defensive war against an English kingdom was won with relative ease, but shortly thereafter I was drawn into a war with some neighbors to my north. A mission was issued asking me to conquer the northern Vikings of Orkneyar, and so we begin as I declare war with them and their allies Sudreyar, joined by a faction that I subjugated. Dunyney is the first city that I target with my terrible Gaelic accent and my army. I prepare some siege towers for what should be an easy battle. I also send in my second army, the Saints' Champions, in to remove this army that came in by sea. They came a little too close to Aberdeen, and that's more or less what triggered this war, and so they must be put to the sword. They get away, but I give chase after quickly leveling up my general. Finishing them off is no issue. Next, I want to move this army closer to the front up north. Unfortunately, in the winter, leaving armies out of settlements or fortified stances means they'll suffer attrition outside of specific terrain. So I can't take the most direct path, having to use settlements as waypoints instead. With that said, there are structures that can be built to avoid winter attrition, at least as Circenn. Down to the south, meanwhile, I suggest a war goal for my vassals. They should be able to clean up some of these southern settlements that Sudreyar have. Even with a tiny army, the minor settlements are easy pickings, but are potential threats as a recruitment zone. As a governor levels up between turns, I rush to get him a better scribe to try and solve the financial issues my kingdom is currently facing. I also look to further my military technology. All of my civic tech remains locked out, as I haven't yet been able to fulfill any of the requirements to unlock those chains. Further up north, back at Dunyney, the enemy threat has increased. A naval force of 12 units has reinforced the garrison. It can't enter the city during the siege, of course, but it can still provide support in battle. Looking into the situation, I'm tempted to push forward before the reinforcing army is able to make landfall and cause me trouble. Ultimately, I decide to fight this battle manually, and if you'd like to watch what battles look like in Thrones of Britannia, check out the battle video I linked in the description down below and under the eye at the top right corner of this screen. Over the course of about 6.5 minutes, I was able to defeat these superior numbers and take the city. First things first, I had to sack the city for the much needed wealth. Then, I had the option of liberating the city, returning it to its rightful owners, maybe giving me the chance of winning a non-conquest victory through diplomacy. But nah. Growing my kingdom also increases my legitimacy, a potential currency when playing as Circenn, and also a source of buffs for the faction. This is something I was working towards earlier through the conquest of cultural lands. In this same turn, I proceed to repair the damaged buildings in the city and bring up my reinforcing army.
For the glory of the Gaels. Eager to get to it. War is what we do best.
I also look into assigning a governor for this newly acquired region. Governors can help provide buffs to a region and calm public order, but they can also cause debuffs through negative traits. I spent a fair bit of time arranging governors in this playthrough, as rebellions were a constant threat, especially with so little money to support another army. Here, I assign Consolidating as governor, as his pacifist trait gives +5 to public order. Over the next turn, without any enemy forces to stop my advance, I push towards Inverness, another mission that was issued to me earlier. Forish is in the way, so I decide to take it, and I bring up my second army as well.
Doing it. The men are eager to get to it. Off to battle. None shall stand against us. War is what we do best.
I take a second to consider my economy and contemplate the potential trouble I'm in, but I'm finally making over 1,000 this turn, so I move forward with confidence. Unfortunately, a 20 stack from Sudrayar shows up to the west, and back at home, one of my governors gets a hilarious trait that reduces public order significantly. With that said, I figure I can push onwards. The 20 stack can be eliminated if both my armies work together.
For the glory of the Gaels. Where's the fight? For the glory of the Gaels. Can't be done.
To the south, my vassals move towards Dunyney, and at the province of Circenn, I build a court hill in the hopes of improving public order. Over the turn, the Sudrayar army decides to take to the sea, allowing me to push in and complete my mission to conquer Inverness. Getting some much-needed money, and I keep both my armies together to make sure that the Sudrayar army can't catch me off guard, and I fortify the army that isn't within the settlement just to make sure they're replenishing forces at a faster rate, while some improved mines at the newly captured city should help keep my economy alive. As all this is happening in the north, more Viking raiders are arriving to the Isles, and the desire for war is dropping in my kingdom. Over this upcoming turn, I push further into enemy lands after giving a better bard to one of the governors at home. Bards increase zeal, which can increase public order and help fight rebellions. Arkerdin is my next target, sending both armies together. And of course, look who comes sneaking around behind with just one unit in the army. Orkneyar is able to push in, take Aberdeen, and recruit 12 more units to create a formidable threat. And to top it off, rebellion erupts back at home, taking another minor settlement. I take Arkerdin, sack them for their money, and then rather than conquering more land that might rebel, I liberate them. They are automatically in a military alliance with me, and they give me military access. I also have the option of annexation, though for now I really just want them to join me in my ongoing war. And the ungrateful fools say no. Instant regret for me, as I can't even separate my two armies without being threatened by the 20 stack from Sudrayar that sits just out of reach of a 2-on-1 engagement in the water. Dunyney thus becomes the origin point of a new army, a very expensive army.
Our bravery is legendary. Can't do that just now.
As luck would have it, the enemy force at Aberdeen decides to move north and starts ravaging my countryside, further crippling my economy. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh dear, as I just got flanked quite badly on the campaign map. Somehow people are still thinking about marriage in these dangerous times, and I give them my blessing before pushing further north against the enemy while also destroying the rebellion back at home. Over the next handful of turns, I kept pushing aggressively northwards, eventually abandoning my vassals as they nearly dragged me into a war to the south. I continue to lose ground at home to the enemy and to rebellions, and I lose Inverness to Sudrayar before taking it back and destroying that annoying 20 stack. Now, I can send one army homeward bound as I try to dodge the 20 stack roaming around my countryside, all while being completely bankrupt. I seek peace with Sudrayar for a small sum of money just to keep my west free of conflict, and over the next handful of turns, I'm able to capture the High Elf city of Lothern, destroy the roaming enemy forces back in my homeland, and eliminate the Viking threat to the north, completing my objective. Playing as Circenn was a ton of fun, and I have to say I was quite happy when the enemy forces flanked me on the campaign map and started causing trouble at home. I was not expecting the AI to pull such a move, but it did, and it certainly added an extra layer of tension in my playthrough. If you're interested in checking out how battles look in Thrones of Britannia, check out the link in the description down below, and if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you check out my Northumbria gameplay as well. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and make sure you subscribe for a constant flow of Total War content. Till next time, Slán Zava.